basically Ann does 2 hours a day, right, Monday to Friday, right, at $22.75. This is again maxing it out, right?
Yes.
Jane does 10 hours, again 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday, probably in the afternoon. The other person woke the mornings. Billy did the evening time for 2-hour shifts, right? And then the other 4-hour shifts were done on the weekends, right? Kind of thing.
Okay.
So basically, this person is able to get 42 hours a week, which is what was authorized, right?
Right.
Now, that means this person got 6 hours a day, basically, yes. Right? Now, for some people, the 6 hours a day is not enough, right? That they really need to maybe have 8 hours a day instead. Sorry, going to my cheat sheet. But so basically, what you can do then is you can work. So let's keep going here. So this, if you look on the right side, are the list of expenses. So in this particular case, is an example that somebody pays a bookkeeper of $250 for bookkeeping, and they pay $200 for facilitation recruitment. The bookkeeper takes care of your monthly statements and stuff, and it submits it every month as your regular payroll. In this case, being the full amount of $250, probably the person is going to your home twice a month, writing the checks for you and stuff.
Right.
And there may be a sliding scale in some people's cases to go lower than that. It just depends on the payroll person, right? But you're allowed to pay up to $250, so that's what that amount is.
Okay, so you're maxing out here on this particular budget. You're just maxing out on
$250, exactly. And then the facilitation recruitment, you can max out on $200 a month.
Okay.
So, and then in this particular person doesn't get access to ministry funding for some reason and isn't able to get the gloves. So through the Cecil program, you can purchase the gloves through your Cecil funds.
Are there other items that you can cover through the Cecil?
There are. There are one-time expense type items, such as if you need a printer for the purpose of doing your payroll, those kind of things, envelopes, those kinds of things.
Those specifically in the package that you receive, is that part of that? They just outline all of that in detail?
Exactly. Yes, you can get all the detail, and if we make a note of it, on our next session, we can kind of go into more detail of the kinds of expenses. The trouble with expenses, of course, is that they still come out of the same pot of dollars.
Yes.
So for every time you put a new line in here, for example, if you chose to pay somebody their medical premium, of the, I think it's $75 now or something like that, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the bottom line now with the gloves, the bank charges of $10 a month, if you go to the right, your surplus is $29 a month. Again, we maxed out, right, on purpose on this particular case, right? But now, if you add any other expense, you're going to be into your monthly surplus will become a deficit.
Yes.
So, what does that mean? Well, then instead of paying somebody $22.75, you now have to pay them $22.
So this is where.
So let's go ahead. Let's change that word advertisement for a second.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. And let's write advertisement. Now, everybody knows you can use Craigslist for free. There's a number of other places. But let's say you're somebody that ends up with $200 a month in advertising. So we type in 200 here, move it up. Now, you're in a deficit of $170, right? So every time you do an expense of some sort, it's going to hit on your bottom line. Right. So go on the very left side. Now let's change everybody from $22.75. Let's just change them to $22. Right? And so all of a sudden, oh, you're an expert.
Bucks to the last person. So,
because I said that.
Right, so everyone's at $22.
Okay, so now
we're going to move over here.
So now instead of being $100 and some odd dollars in the hole, you're only $9 in the hole. So you'd have to bring it down a little bit more. But let's get rid of the advertising fee for a second.
Okay, so we'll get rid of the advertising fee.
Let's get rid of the advertising fee.
Right.
Let's go to the very left again.
Yep.
And more importantly now, people are trying to get more hours.
Yes.
Right out of this.
Right.
So let's get right to it and change it to, for example, where instead of 10 hours, 10 hours a day, I'm sorry, 10 hours a week, that's 2 hours. Let's just change this person to 20.
20 hours?
20 hours. Okay. Now let's go down to the 4-hour person and change that one to 8 hours. So what I've done, by the way, everybody here, by doing this, all I've done is I've added 2 hours a day across the board. Okay, so instead of getting 6 hours a day, I'm now getting 8 hours a day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right?
Right.
Now, if I leave it at $22,
Like $1,300 in the
right, we're $1,300 in the hole,
Yep.
right? So now we can adjust this to, let's change it to $18, let's say.
and do that straight across the board.
Straight across the board.
Okay.
And I can actually,
One more. Okay, 18. So now we're down to $237.
so that's still not low enough to get the 2 hours. So now let's try again and make it probably $1,750 will do it.
Do you have to pay each worker the same amount of money? Because some of them will have more experience.
That's a great question. Do you have to pay the same amount of money to everybody? No, you do not.
No.
You
It's
know,
what they agree on, I suppose.
you have to. Oh, interesting.
So now we're down to $95. We're in.
Right. So change it to 17, and we're probably good to go.
Yep.
So, but you're right. You don't have to pay everyone the same. It could be just based on their experience and things as well. And it depends on the duties, right? You know, I mean, some morning care routine is very medical
Yes.
for some people, not medical for others, right?
Most
So I've seen some people pay higher in the morning, a little less in the afternoon, depending upon the different tasks. So you definitely can vary it up. I was just showing you really, this is a fantastic spreadsheet that will allow you to play with it, all, to really play with it all. And so in this particular case, I'm going to do one other little interesting trick for you as well.
Okay, so I just stopped sharing just because I just wanted to see if there was any questions.
Good.
Let's see.
And is there any?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good still.
And if you have questions, don't hesitate to start writing. So
let's go back.
and for some people, numbers are just boggling. A payroll person can help you work these out, right? To play with this and stuff. I mean, I'm hoping that this program will make it easier for some people to figure things out, right? But you can. The other thing we can do is just under the name of Chris, right?
Where?
You could.
Chris, right? Yep.
Right. So right here, go on the next one down, and we can call it whatever, and we can add.
So add someone else.
Yeah, add someone else.
Right.
And now this could be the extra hours, right? Kind of thing. So, so now let's say you want to make 10 hours out of that, right? So let's just make it really simple for us. 2 times 7, 14 hours a week. And of course, you can't do 14. Somebody works. So that's 10 hours a day, right? That's why there's 70 hours total there, right? And let's change everybody to $15, or it'll probably be more like.
Let's try 15.
Yeah, probably lower even.
Let's see what $15 an hour.
Okay, but this kind of gives you a good idea, right? This is right.
So we're at 437.
So you're still at a deficit. So probably more like 13, I think. You're probably at 13.
So $13 an hour.
Right. Now.
Here we go. So now we're
Oh,
275. So let's say 1450.
13.50.
1350.
Yeah. And that's good. So, and again, et cetera, et cetera. I should say that you're probably nice to leave it at a $97 surplus, by the way, because it's generally recommended that you actually want a surplus every month, especially when you're not doing 24-hour systems, that you're doing, where you need like 7 or 8 hours a day. But there's some days where it's a bad day and you need somebody to stay a few extra hours. Those kind of things. So it allows you to use your surplus to that. And some people say, how much surplus am I allowed to have? You're actually allowed to have up to $5,000, in this case, $5,000 surplus.
Does that vary
So-
depending on the hours that you get?
Exactly. So if you're getting $7,000 a month, you're allowed to have up to $7,000 extra in your account
A year.
a year. Exactly.
Okay.
So
And then
if
can you
you,
build
if,
every year to year?
you,
Or
you
how
can
does that
build,
work?
but if your budget, in this case, they give you $5,000, if you go of a surplus of $7,000, right, they'll take back $2,000.
Gotcha.
So just to be aware of that, if you don't need it, great,
Yes.
but in most cases, people do need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
$13.50, it is tough to find people,
I was gonna ask,
but people do it, and it all depends on you as a person in regards to what your needs are. If you're a great trainer and able to be patient with people, and you don't need people with high level experience or skill, you can train them, right? And you can do a lower rate because you're basically you're helping them get educated on things, right? But it's not easy though. It's definitely not easy. I know there's people that are being paid $12 an hour or
Okay.
even minimum wage
Right.
of $10 an hour, and the attorney, the revolving door
Yes.
becomes there for sure.
What's the average?
Um,
Best estimate.
Well, I would say on the CECL program that, around $15 an hour is, what people are paying more because they're not getting the exact hours that they need. So they're stretching it out a little bit.
Right.
But again, we talked earlier about 24-hour live-in, right? That, if you get 10 hours a day, you can pay $230 in wages for the 24 hours. That's not bad for a live-in, right? Kind of thing. Now, if they're go the whole 24 hours, that's not going to work,
Yeah, definitely.
right? But if there's a couple of rollovers in the night, those kinds of things, that can work.